What's up, fam? Welcome to another edition of God Dreamers. Thank you guys for hanging out with us today. And I got a special treat all the way down in the Bahamas. I wish I could be there right now, but anyway, well, one day. But anyway, today we're going to be talking about publishing and writing. And I have a special guest here who's published over 37 books and counting. And she's done some great things with her ministry of writing and just doing some great things for the community and for young people and old. And she and her husband even have started up a few companies, a publishing company that we'll be talking a little bit more about that. So, welcome, Teri Bethel. Welcome to God Dreamers. How you doing today?
Well, thank you. I am super good. It's a wonderful day to be alive. Listen, I'm in Eleuthera right now in the Bahamas.
I
It's
want to be there.
and we have some of that Atlanta breeze coming through with our sunshine, and so that's the perfect marriage for us right now. So I'm doing great. Thank you. Thank you for
Yeah,
having me here today.
I'm so glad you're here. We were talking before we went live about me wanting to be down there, and I was kind of a little jealous and envious that she's close to the beach. My closest beach is a pond across the street that's all brown and cruddy. I was like this, just kind of imagine as I don't even want to get in the pond. I'll just look from the the sidelines there. But yeah, anyway, thank you for hanging out today.
My pleasure.
I know we've been talking over the last couple of months and about getting together, and we've finally been able to everything in line so that we can get together and talk today. You guys can be for a special treat because, like I said before, Teri has done a lot of things in the area of publishing books. She's the expert, and she's even taken that background and sharing with others to help them inspire. And we'll talk about that today, as well as how, if you're interested in publishing, writing your first books, she's going to kind of help us take those steps to be successful in doing so. So anyway, without further ado, Teri, share a little bit about yourself, and how did you get inspired to start writing?
Well, I'll tell you, I did not have writing on my radar, but I was fairly good in school. And the reason I was good in school, in high school, was, and my family always told me I flammed because I was not good at studying, but I would find several key interesting facts about what I was studying. I could learn better by hearing than I was by reading because I just did not have the confidence to believe that I was a good student. I was told I was not. And so I didn't want to fight. I didn't want to fight the powers that be who told me that I was not good because I didn't want to make them out to be liars. And so I just was expressing myself through, if I had history, for instance, or geography, I had a flair of getting the stories across in a smooth way. And I did not realize that that was a writing gift. It wasn't until I was in high school, when I was in grade 11 in high school, I changed school, went from England to Montverde, Florida, when the principal of the school said, "Oh, Teri, I heard so much about you. You are so this and you're so that. And I'm looking and expecting great things out of you." And I'm thinking, Teri, who is this man talking about? Because he couldn't be talking about me. And his little pep talk turned my life around. And I
Wow.
went from being a C.D. student in high school to an honor roll student for the next 2 years, and then into college, having fantastic grades. But it wasn't until I left college that I started feeling that I needed to express myself. And the best way I found, as many people do, to express himself is to write poetry. And so I started writing poems. And that was my first collection of poems that I published. It was not it wasn't Amazon.com. It was some printing press on Burnett Road, a little small printing press that they printed on my typewritten work, and it was called Call Me Good. And when I wrote that, my family were like, Girl, you didn't write this. You copied this. Who wrote this? And as the years passed and I wrote more and more, they were like, this is good. These are good. And
Wow.
and then I got into writing for my children because we couldn't find the right types of books for them. So we had two little boys. First, the little Drew first, and we said, he devours books. Why not write the content that we need? Instead of complaining about the problem, let's be party to the answer. And so I began writing stories for the children. And it just started to build from there. And I think I may be at 37 books by now. It's definitely more than 35. I think we might be 37 because I just released another one a few weeks ago. That's an ebook to help
Uh-huh.
people with their book marketing called Help, I Need to Sell More Books. That's not available on Amazon. That's just available on our website, inspirepublishing.com. Sorry, inspirepublishing.org.
ORG. Okay. Got
Yeah. So it's been a woolly ride. It's been an enjoyable ride in writing these stories, writing for children, um, writing relationship books, and I tell you, it's fulfilling for me. It really has been.
You mentioned a couple of nuggets in there. The first one that I kind of caught on was that early on you mentioned that you were told that you were not a good student, and then you had this one person that actually recognized your
Right.
abilities and brought that kind of lit that fire in you. That's fascinating. That just shows you too that words can be very powerful,
Oh yeah.
infecting how we think about ourselves. But praise God that
Yeah.
you had somebody in your life to kind of show you that, hey, you're beyond what you're thinking.
Exactly. Exactly. Because people incubate what you say. And my family are pranksters. They like to joke a lot. And they didn't realize that the words that they were saying to me, I was really incubating. And
Yeah.
my mother, who is 89 years old, she just told me a few months ago, because I found my elementary school, primary school, two of my report cards on her nightstand. I said, why would my report cards be on your nightstand? She said, I don't know. She has a little bit of a memory issue, a bit of dementia. And she
Mhm.
said, I don't know. And then I sat there with her recording some messages for each one of her children just to send Christmas messages out.
Yeah.
And she was just saying these beautiful things to every child. Her long term memory is fantastic. And when she came to me, she said, we weren't recording at the time. She said, did I record a message to you? I said, no, mommy, but I'm sitting here right now. She said, no, let's record one for you. But she said, you know what, Teri? We used to tease you a lot. And I don't know why, but you were one of my brightest children. But we
Wow.
teased you so much. And I'm sorry we didn't. I'm so sorry that we did that because, she knows now how it affected me. Because rather than try hard like my teachers told me I could do better if I tried harder, I could only hear my family laughing at me and saying, oh, this is the dumb one. And so
Wow.
I thought if I became clever, then I would make my family out to be liars. And
Wow.
that was my world. And so at the age of 11, I went off to boarding school in North Wales. And Todd, I tell you, for the first year or two, I think I cried myself to sleep every night, thinking I was such a failure,
Oh
um,
gosh.
begging God to kill me. I said, God, don't let me wake up in the morning. Please, God. Not realizing that words have power and you're actually putting a curse on yourself when you say things like that. But God, in His mercy and grace, kept me. And I made it through the 4 years in England. And that's when I met the principal or the president of the high school in Orlando, Florida, who spoke to me. He spoke life into me.
Wow.
And he said, and I found out afterwards that when he said he had high hopes for me, he wasn't talking about my academics. He was talking about my athletic ability. But God had it.
God used it for
God
other
used it.
things.
And so I was on the honor roll, and then I just started to do much better. My self-esteem improved. I did well in sports, and that's why I write today, because I say I want to reach just that. If it's just that one child who's broken, that one child who feels they cannot do anything, they're failure. We have a reading problem in this country. I don't know if you have the same thing over
Yeah,
there.
we do. Yeah, it's horrible.
Yeah,
Everybody's YouTubing. That's all they do now on social
yeah,
media.
right.
That's
And
the
so,
closest to the reading.
right. But our children are in grade 5, 6, 7, and 8, and they still do not know how to read.
Wow.
They're just passing them through the system. And a little boy, I was talking with a little boy the other day, and I heard from his principal that his reading was not where it should be. So I had the opportunity. I said, Lord, if you make it possible for me to be with him, would you give me permission to pray for him? And that day, this little boy shows up with somebody on my doorstep. I say, Lord, I'm going to take that as a yes. Okay. And so I got permission from somebody to pray for his family member, to pray for him. And he came and I said, listen, read this for me. I pulled out my children's book for his grade level, and he stumbled over the word. And he told me, no, I'm good. I'm good. I can handle myself. I can read.
Yeah.
And I thought, oh, this is so hard. This is so hard. Oh my goodness. He he can read like the and the sight words,
Yeah.
but he struggled in the other areas. And I had given him a book, and I'd given him a book about a month or so before, and I realized that he couldn't read. So we have a major problem. Andy and I, my husband Tellis and I, went to a gift shop on the island several days ago. And I spoke with the lady there in the shop, and I said, I wanted to leave a message for the manager. And I told her, she said, what's your name, ma'am? And I said, Teri Bethel. She said, Teri Bethel, I know that name. I said, really? She said, oh, Teri Bethel, you're the lady. Do you know that my daughter couldn't read? She hated reading, but I got her a few of your books. She said she got her the first book. Let me pull one out. She got her this book, Polly's Little Secret. And this
Oh, wow.
teaches they have little stories in it, and they are illustrated, and they have the characters.
Ah,
The
I love
characters
it.
are in color, and they have Black as well as Caucasian children. And it's a fun read because they're rhyming stories. I wanted to show you a picture of one of the mothers because she was just the cutest in her curlers, but so sassy. But so she said she got her the book, and her daughter read it. She's in grade 5. This is a grade, I would have thought that would have been a grade 1 in kindergarten level. But
Yeah.
the daughter read the book and said, Mom, can I have another one? So she got this book, A Goat Called Billy. And so you have a bunch of different stories in that for children. And she said that was her jump start to reading. From there, she's reading more and more and more of my books. And the school, fortunately, the school that she's in, they are using several of my books. And so she said, my daughter now, not only is she not afraid to read, but she loves reading. And I can't buy enough books for her. And she just gave me the biggest hug. She said, thank you so much. And I said, oh, this is why I
Oh,
write. This is why I write, you
that's
know?
so awesome. That's a blessing right there.
Oh, yeah. And that's just one of many stories of meeting children in the airport or children in stores and and they say, "Oh, you came to my school and you read and that's Miss Teri Bethel." And I said, "My goodness, that's incredible that they even remembered my name."
Yeah.
So it's very heartwarming.
Yeah.
Parents are coming to me and they're saying, any other books? What books do you have? And so this is another one, Courage to Overcome, helping parents and children deal with childhood challenges like bullying, um, cleanliness, hygiene, diet and exercise, unfortunately, cutting, incest, the
Oh,
things
wow.
that we are dealing with in society, and the parents are like, I don't want to touch that. And so we touch there, we go there because we have um, too many of these issues that are going unaddressed because parents just don't know how to
Yeah.
talk to their children, you
Yeah.
know,
Yeah, they're
about those
afraid,
things.
afraid and don't really have the tools too, right? I mean, they don't have the resources to do it in a way
Right.
that's effective. And so, a lot of times the parents are coming from crazy environments like that too. So,
Exactly.
yeah,
Exactly. Right.
that's fascinating. That's awesome too. One of the things about God dreamers is that we our theme is kind of finding and fulfilling your God given purpose. And
Hmm.
you already touched a little bit about this, but I wanted to ask you, do you feel like you're operating your purpose and what was that journey like? I mean, the good, the bad, the ugly. Because a lot of people struggle, even
Yeah.
adults, even today,
Right.
we live in a society that's we're bombarded with things that distract us, right?
Right.
And a lot of us just going through life just living and not really truly living the way God kind of intended us to live.
Hmm. Hmm.
And so, unfortunately, many people never really understand or fulfill themselves in terms of doing the things that God has called them to do. So, what are your thoughts about that? Has that you feel like you're operating in and I think you already answered the question, but I'm asking you
Well,
anyway.
you know what? Some of us just start, and I think we just have to start where we are and allow God's wind, His breath, to blow us
Mhm.
in the right direction. But if we don't start moving, if we just sit still and say, okay, we're going to wait for God to move us in the right trajectory, we're not going to, it's not going to happen. You know,
Yeah.
it's like a ship without a sail. It's like trying to slip harbor as a ship without turning your engines on. It's not going to happen. And you just, like I said, you have to get started. But the way I got started, my schooling, I am an interior designer by profession. Um, I did it for a while in Nassau, and then I got into more of, my husband and I got into garment manufacturing. And so I started painting on fabrics, and then I developed a line of handbags, hand painted handbags. And I thought, this is it. This is great. But that was just my technical ability. That wasn't the
Yeah.
spiritual satisfaction or satisfying my spiritual needs. And as a believer, my husband and I were involved in our church, and we were involved in the youth ministry, and we were involved in the marriage ministry, in the women's ministry. He was involved in the men's ministry, and that kind of put us and put me uh, in a different vein where we were able to help people, and that was, oh, to know that God could use you where people are hurting, that
Mhm.
was amazing. And so as we were made directors of a marriage ministry at Bahamas Faith Ministries at the time, and we decided we were going to do some special things to keep the marriages together. And we had a number of initiatives that we did. But out of one of those initiatives came um, a book. My husband just said, honey, you got to make this into a book. And I did that. And as a result of that, it has touched so many people in the Bahamas and um, in the States and in the UK, because I'm getting feedback from these people who are telling me this changed my life. And so when you ask about purpose, these books are helping to fulfill that purpose, to help to
Mhm.
bring healing in those hurting areas of those lives. So My Marriage Matters, this is this was my first marriage book to
Ah,
help,
okay.
to help people. And
Yeah.
people have come and they've said, my one man came and he told me, he said, my wife said, if you don't get a copy of this book and read it, our marriage is over. And he said, oh, he went and he said, well, let me read it. She said, no, this is my copy. You go and get your own. Yeah. So he read it, and I saw him at a U.S. embassy get together, and he said, "Your book saved my marriage because my wife, was telling me about these things, and I was too thick-skulled to do anything about it until I read it, and it made sense what you said, and now our marriage is so strong. It's like it was never before." Then another guy who was a pastor came to me and he said, I didn't know I was so wrong until I read your book. And now my marriage is, he said, it's like it's on steroids because I read that book. And it's just simple truths.
Wow. Yeah.
Just, and it's a fun book to read. It's not a beat you over the head. You're doing this right, wrong. You
Yeah.
got to do it. Nah, that's not the spirit in which I write. I'm plain speaking. I find that you're better off. You're helpful to more people when you direct rather
Correct. Yeah.
than beating around the bush. Um, so yes, so that for me is fulfilling purpose. Writing the children's books, fulfilling purpose, and everything I do it purposefully, and and um, and not just because, oh, that's a great idea. I see so and so doing it, and that's working for them. So I'm not chasing after the dollar. I'm chasing after God's heart to meet needs and provide solutions to problems
I
through
love that.
books.
Yeah. It looks like I got a couple of books I need to get.
Ah, yeah, yeah. It's really remarkable. It's really remarkable, and the challenge in getting information to people, Todd, is that people will be quick to listen to a video
Hmm.
before they would pick up a book, because we are. Can I say it? We're getting lazy.
Oh yeah. Say it.
Yeah.
Say it again.
Yeah, so we're just getting lazy. And um, I would say because I am Black and I live in a primarily Black community, um, predominantly Black, I would say that our people have run away from reading, and we are not even encouraging. I asked a little child the other day, did your parents read to you? Did they read bedtime stories to you? No. So how do we
Yeah.
expect children to do better in school if we shouldn't just be telling them, go get your book and read. No, we need to be reading with them. We
Yeah.
should have started them from early. Read to them when they're in your womb.
Yeah. That's what
And
we did with
yeah,
ours.
and
Hmm.
create that hunger, and then develop it and develop it, and so that's the way you really start off with your children. You can then help to guide them towards their future and their dreams and aspirations. But they say if you want to hide something from people of color, put it in a book. Unless it's entertainment, unless it's foolishness, and then we run to it because we want to be tantalized, titillated, and just entertained.
Yeah.
But when it comes to now, there, I'm not saying that's across the board. I'm not saying everybody, of course,
Yeah. Yeah. Of course. Yeah.
but a large number of our people would never think to pick up a book to improve themselves, and that is what we need. And I'm happy to say that the children are now picking up the books and they're reading, and we have to make it enjoyable. And so that's what we do. We make it enjoyable. Like many of my books now have the coloring pages in it for the children, or the word search puzzles. And I have a book that one of the schools in the north is using, and they said 50% of the children don't even know how to read.
Oh gosh, that's horrible.
Yeah. So this book teaches them how to write stories. It has story prompts in it, and the teacher said, she said, Mrs. Bethel, when I say we're going to write a story, it's like the class grabs your book because it teaches them what a noun is, what an adjective is, how to use this effectively. These are samples and ideas of how to put your sentence together, fill in the blank stories so you could like prime the pump before you write your
Mhm.
own story. And so it's a lot of good things like that. And then it has story starters, and they're all stories based in the islands of the Bahamas, so that they can learn more about their island, about their country. Because I don't know if you know that Eleuthera is the mainland, and then we have Spanish Wells and Harbor Island where we can go to by ferry. Well, a teacher told me the other day that many of her children on Harbor Island had never been to the mainland, to Eleuthera, on a
What?
$5 ferry ride, $5, 10-minute ride, and they'd never been to the mainland.
That's
And so
crazy.
she took her children, she took her students, and she just took them on a tour throughout the island. And the island it's about 110, I think, miles long, maybe 2 miles wide at the widest point. And so they went and they saw all the beautiful things, the blue holes, sapphire blue holes. They saw the cave where the Eleutheran adventurers came. They landed in Eleuthera. They saw the Crystal Cathedral caves. They saw, no, not the Crystal Cathedral. They saw the Cathedral caves and
Yeah.
cave in Rock Sound. They had a blast just driving through as a tourist, and they were like, and so that experience I try to put in our books for
Ah,
the children in different islands, so that now they can they can visit by reading my stories. They can visit Abaco, they can visit Long Island, Eleuthera, New Providence, and we give them a flavor so that they could feel that they can see through their imagination
yeah.
what we have, the beauty of what we have. And then they can see through some of the adventure stories about that talk about the people who migrate from Haiti. It talks a little about Haiti and their issues with their politics and how they migrate, coming on these boats, and how they're mishandled. And we have some unrest now in our country with the Haitian migrants. And because the numbers have grown so much in some of the
Mhm.
schools, that some of the schools in Eleuthera, well, one of the schools in Eleuthera, I think we have more than 50% Haitian
Haitians.
population
Oh wow,
in,
that's
yeah. in that school. And so the book is one of the books is showing them we need to show them the beauty of their country and be tolerant, because people, I find, I have to walk carefully how I say this, but there are always people who want to look down on other people wherever you go.
Yeah.
And for some reason that makes them feel bigger and better, and that's sad. And so my books want to celebrate who we are as a people, but you don't, you in celebrating who you are, you don't have to put other people down, but you can teach them to celebrate who they are and their country.
Celebrate
And
together.
yes, and be more tolerant and loving towards each other, but also recognize that this is our country. This is the Bahamas. This is our culture, you know. And when in Rome, do as Romans do. But it is we are a melting pot of cultures here, and it's what I'm trying to do here is just bring healing among the children, because there's becoming some gang violence, and we're coming into that sort of behavior, and I don't think it's necessary, and I hope that we can do something to eliminate that. But I know what it's like to be marginalized. When I went to school in Los Angeles, it was a wonderful experience. And when I went to school in England, it was a wonderful experience. But my sister and I were the only Black people in the school and in that city. And so they had never seen Black people before. And that was quite an experience for them.
I can imagine.
Yeah. So they treated us well. It's just that the kids, they didn't know how to treat us. They'd never seen us before, so they wanted to know. They followed me in the bathroom to see where my tail was cut off.
Oh God! What?
Yeah. So we became great friends. We became great. I became great friends with many of them. Went to their homes. They treated me with such love and care. And today I'm still in touch with some of them, and it was great. So when I went to fast forward, when I went to school to study in Los Angeles, I had to be interviewed I had to interview an interior designer, and I found one in the Hollywood Hills.
Ooh.
And when I got there, the lady at the door said, "Are you sure? You sure you're supposed to be here?" And I said, "Yes." And I'm wondering, what the dickens? Why? What? Why? She's a Black lady, and I didn't know that she was trying to protect me.
Yeah.
And so when I went in, she said, "Okay." And she called the lady down, and the lady said, "What are you doing here? Why?" And she showed me into a parlor, very posh, very dark walls, and everything paneled and dark drapes, and you couldn't see the light of day on the outside. It was super spooky. We're used to bright colors in the Bahamas. We're not used to all that, the traditional dark oak and cherry and all those things. So, well, we do have it now, but back then we did not. I didn't come across it. So she took me into this room, and she grilled me, but she didn't grill me on what the subject matter was supposed to be. She said, "How dare you? Who do you think you are? For you, who do you think you are? Somebody like you, think you that you can be an interior designer, your kind, a maid's, your kind, a gardener's." Yeah, I said, "No, we don't think like that. No, we can be whoever we want to be in our country." And by the time she finished with me, I was just snotty. I was teary-eyed, and I didn't have any tissue. I just mucus all over me. And I was just like, I was broken. And the reason I was broken was I don't know who else is in this dark house with this crazy woman. And that's why this housekeeper didn't want me to come in there.
Yeah.
I went home. I drove home. I was living in Culver City at the time with my brother. And when I got there, I was a wreck. And he was like, What? What is wrong with you? What is wrong? And he got his Bible and he said, Read this. And he got me the Psalms and he told me, Read this, read this. And he wasn't even a Christian. He was religious, but he wasn't a Christian. But it's amazing. And neither was I. I was religious, but not a Christian.
Mhm.
And I didn't know the difference, although I spent my first 4 years in England in a convent and doing church several times a day. I didn't know the difference between a Christian and,
Yeah.
and
I think
a
many of
religious
us.
person. Yeah. So that was my taste with people looking down, somebody always wanting to be superior to you. And so when I see that now, I dislike it immensely. And I don't like being party to that. I like to see, okay, how can we bring people together so
Yeah.
that we don't always have to agree, but we need to be agreeable in how we bring forth our disagreements, you know.
Yeah. Wow. That's heavy. Whoo-wee. Well, you're experiencing it. So that was that you took that negative and made it into positive, how you can, have the mindset to treat people the way God sees people. So
Right,
that's the
right.
good thing about it. Even though that's a harsh, horrible environment, I wouldn't even want
Mhm.
to fathom just being in there. I would probably punch the lady.
Well, you'd say that now, but I'll tell you, Todd, when you're in a this house was a mansion, and you don't know who's behind the doors.
Yeah, yeah,
I was just
yeah,
grateful I could get out of there, and
yeah.
I did not. And during my tears, I was like, "And so, how long have you been in the tears, fine?" Oh,
Oh gosh.
and I'm still trying to get my stuff for my project, my assignment, because my grade weighed heavily on this. And so I had to go to school the next day and tell my professor what happened. She said, Teri, I'm so sorry. Teri, I am so sorry. And she was a white lady. And she was so gracious to me, so kind. She said, we're going to make it up. And she allowed me to make it up.
Wow. Woo-wee. Well, I
Mhm.
know we're probably going to close shortly, but I wanted to kind of touch on a couple of things and shift
Sure.
gears a little bit. So you've done a lot in the areas of writing and publishing, and I wanted to at least touch on it briefly about those who are watching that will want to, they want to they want to write their first book and publish their first books. So what would you recommend the steps and to do that so they can do it successfully? Because I would imagine, I know today there's a lot more tools out there, uh, and a lot of resources that you can tap into. But even given that, it could be overwhelming because you're like, there's all these tools out here, but where do I
Right.
start? So, I mean, you have any suggestions on how for a person that wants to get
Sure.
started? What
Absolutely.
you
I
do?
would say start by writing a table of contents and seeing each one of those table of contents listed as an article that you're going to write. And but at the end of the day, you can do them sequentially if it needs to be, or not. And you decide how you're going to fit those in. But your topics should your contents should include the topics that you feel you want to address in your books. That's if it's a nonfiction book. If it's and I would say go on Amazon and do some research on the books that you think that the style books or the type books that you want to write. Um, and great readers make great writers. You start to develop your own style, your own voice, and you don't when you're writing you're just going to pour out, you're just going to just let everything flow, and then you will go back and clean it up. You don't try to clean up every line as you go, because that's going to constipate every part of your writing process. and you
Okay.
want it to be a smooth flow. And so you're going to write, and then you let it rest. And you don't try to write your book in a day. You can budget your time. You can say, okay, I'm going to write half an hour today. And as you get in that groove, you can say, oh, well, that was easy. Today, I'm going to do an hour. Or maybe you're going to get up, take a nap, and then you're going to get up at midnight and you're going to write some more because it's quiet and the children have gone to bed and the dog's not barking and the phone's not ringing. And so
Mhm.
I can do these things. And but do your research on Amazon or Barnes and Noble, whatever, wherever you go, and check out their table of contents of the books that you think are similar to yours, and see from their bestsellers, see what people are interested in, read the reviews and see um, what people are saying, what they gleaned out of the book. Or ask your friends and family, what topics would you like more information on? So do some research, go poking, but don't try to perfect your writing. Once you get it down and you've completed it, then you go over it and you clean it up, and then you give it to somebody else, a professional editor, to clean up and put it together for you. Then you take it to the publisher, or in our case, we are publishers of family friendly content. And so um, we have in-house an in-house editing um, team that can take care of those things. But we generally look at it to see, because not we don't have a one size fit all. Not everybody is skilled for a particular style book. Not all editors want to do the same. Some want to do a history book. Some only want to do a romance type book. So fiction, nonfiction, there are different types
Yeah.
of editors. So
That's
once you have those together, then you just put it together. Some people just hire a ghostwriter. They do the. I've done ghostwriting for several people, and what I've done is I would interview them, or if they have their writings that they've taken it so far, and they just realize, I want to tell my story, but I'm not a gifted writer. I just don't know how to put this together. So they would get a ghostwriter. And so I've had people come to me and say, look, I've taken this as far as I could. What could you do? Some people just need a deep edit. They don't need a ghostwriter. But if you want to really put it on steroids, you need to get a ghostwriter. So this lady I did some ghostwriting for, she said, you're the third ghostwriter I hired. I can't tell you the amount of money I spent. And in
mm,
a short period of time, she said, when I read that first chapter that you wrote, I sat in my bed and I wept, and I could not believe this was finally
wow.
coming to life. And
Yeah.
when she got that proof copy of her book in hand, she said, I wept, I wept, I wept. She could not believe it. So the process is a simple one. And as publishers, not all publishers do this, but we guide you through. If we see that your manuscript has potential, we would tell you, okay, but you need to do something like this. This is more self-centered, biased, and your readers want to know the other side of the story, because you're making it out to be like you are all right and those people are all wrong, and we know from human interactions there's always two and three sides of the story. So give us the full story. Be transparent.
Yeah.
You can't say, now y'all stop lying here. But
You really want to.
yeah, you be you be responsible in your transparency. You don't have to say, because some of these topics are very sensitive. But if Uncle Albert um, beat you up and molested you, then you can't call Uncle Albert's name. You better pray for him and ask God to give him a U-turn.
Yeah.
But you have to be very sensitive, because you don't want to open yourself up to lawsuits that
Yeah.
sort of stuff.
Yeah. Wow, that's good. That's good. Well, I appreciate you today and what you shared. So many good golden nuggets. And I'm grateful that you took time out today to hang out with us on God Dreamers. How can people find more about what you're doing? Your website, your publishing website, and how can they reach out and connect to you? Connect with you.
Well, yeah. So our website is inspirepublishing.org. That's INSPIREPUBLISHING.org. So, yeah, so inspirepublishing.org. And then we have booksbybethel.com, where we celebrate people, whether they live in Jibim, Japan, Europe, wherever. If you hail from the Bahamas, your family hails from the Bahamas or the West Indies in the Caribbean, then we welcome your writings, your family-friendly writings, and we give you a platform on our authors directory to facilitate your books being seen in the region, around the world and in the region. And so that's Books by Bethel with one L and Inspire Publishing. And then my personal website is teribethel.com, TERIBETHEL.com.
And that's where they can find all your books that you've written so far.
They can find the books there, and it would link to Amazon.
Okay.
And so most of my books are either in paperback or Kindle and available on Amazon.
Sweet. Well, thank you so much. I mean, I could be on here for 8 more hours, but I don't think our viewers can handle that. And then I know you
No.
have stuff to do too. So,
Yeah.
but I appreciate you sharing your story and sharing how God has kind of blessed you these many years in writing and being a blessing to others and finding purpose and fulfilling purpose. Definitely, thank you so much for that. And family, thank you for watching and hanging out with us today. If you got any questions and you want to learn more about what God Dream is doing, reach out to us through social media. And until next time, God bless you guys. Take care and we'll see you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.